Hello friends, this is an experiment to try out different pens and pencils to see what works best on watercolor artwork. This is not going to be fine art, I'm calling it fun art. And it doesn't matter what supplies you have on hand, just create something using what you have. This is just for you. I will have links for everything I'm using in the description below. To get started, we're going to throw some watercolor different colors on the paper, and I'm going to use, this is called a water brush or a watercolor brush. Has the water in the tube, so you don't need to have a special water cup or anything. So to start, we're going to squeeze out some water and smush it around a little. Maybe add a little more down here. Just some areas. Nothing fancy, whatever you feel like doing. And then we're going to grab some colors. I'm starting with this yellow. I think it's called permanent yellow. Again, it does not matter what watercolors you use. Anything will work at this point. And this happens to be a Koi product, which will be linked in the description. But any watercolor will work, including children's watercolors, if that's what you have on hand. Now we'll add another color. I think I'll do, this is going to be a cobalt blue. Colors don't really matter. I'm just telling you the names of what I'm using, but it doesn't matter. Just throw some colors on there. You can have them blend a little. Now I'll go for some red. This is a rose color. And I'm going to squeeze a little more water out and spread that a little bit. And as you do that, of course, it's going to lighten the color as it comes out. You don't have to color the whole paper. I'm just going to color some of it. Now if I can drop a little bit more of the red, it'll make it darker. I'll have it bleed a little bit into the yellow. Maybe some more dark down here. And if you squeeze the pen, you'll get more water on there. You might want to do that. Again, you can experiment. This is it's supposed to be fun, kind of like a Zen kind of activity where you zone out. And I'll throw some green in here. Now I do want to do some splattering, so what I'm going to do is, I have a lot of water on the brush. I'm just going to sort of tap it on my finger and create some little spotted patterns. That was the blue. Now I'm wiping the brush off, and I'll pick up maybe some of that red, that rose red. Now again, I have the brush pretty wet. Okay, that just adds a little interest. I'm going to wipe the brush off. I'm going to grab a tissue and just pull some of that excess color off. Give us some lighter and darker areas. Okay. Now we let that dry. Next, I like to take something round. It could be a bottle cap, a soda bottle cap. This is a pill bottle. You can use a mug. There's all different sizes, even a glass jar that maybe your jelly came in. Anything that's round. And I'm going to paint some color on here. Could be some different colors. This is starting with the blue. And then you just take it and put it on your artwork and give it a little twist. Now I'll try some red. Actually, I think I'm going to try some yellow. So I didn't even clean the blue off. I just put some yellow on here. Some areas it might turn to green because yellow and blue make green. And I'll just put another one on here. And if you have a smaller one, you can add some different sizes for an interesting effect. I don't have anything handy right now, so I'm just going to use this pill bottle. You can also use this while your artwork was still wet, but I didn't think of that. And overlapping is good for interest too, and I think we just need something up in this corner up here. Oops. Okay. And make sure you don't mind if your surface gets paint all over it, because sooner or later, accidents happen. Okay, so the first pen I'm going to try is the Sharpie S gel. It is black, and it says ultra fine 0.38 millimeters. And we're going to start by outlining just one of these little sections. It doesn't have to be exact, just any shape we want, like that. And then we're going to do, this is called Zentangle, by the way, and if you are stumped for some ideas, you can do a search on your computer for Zentangle and find some designs and some patterns that you like. The idea is that you're doing a repetitive pattern so that you are feeling relaxed, and you should feel relaxed when you're doing this. If you're feeling anxious, then you need to just think of it as just something you're going to throw away. And it's not something that's going to be valuable. And then you can relax more and just do it for fun. Because this is about having fun. So now I'm going to put in a kind of a bush. We're going to do some overlapping. So like down here, this little leaf is going to be underneath this shape that we just drew. And I'm just going to fill them in. And here's part of the circle. So I'm not going to fill that whole thing in either. And it's just a leaf shape. It's almost, you could do like a heart shape. Any kind of a shape that is going to represent a leaf. And you can get creative here. And I'm going to fill these in. And this is the Sharpie, so we're going to compare it to a couple of other ones and see which one we like better. It goes on pretty smooth. I think for filling in an area, maybe a thicker pen would have been good. I chose the thinnest one they have, mostly so I could do like more outline kind of things. Leaves can be almost football shaped or heart shaped or any kind of shape that you want. And overlapping is always a good thing. I preach overlapping in art because it makes it more interesting, more organic, more natural. And you can vary the size of the leaves too. So something like that. And that is the Sharpie S gel pen. All right, now we're going to put this off to the side. And the next one I bought was the Premium Gel Roller by Pilot. And it's called the G2, also ultra fine, 0.38 millimeters. It also says quick drying, and this pen is actually refillable. I didn't know that, so now I'll have to go look and see where I can get the refills. So we'll do something very similar here. Maybe we'll come in here and do this shape and join that and go all over. Now comparing it side by side with this, it looks like it's a finer point unless you press down a little and go over it, and then it's more similar to the Sharpie. So if you wanted something finer point, I'm going to recommend this, but it's almost not noticeable. And we'll just do a couple little more things like that, and maybe throw in another little vine or something. And they do make micron markers and other kinds of markers that might be good if you, especially if you want to do a lot of black and you want it all colored in. And for highlights, you can get a white gel pen. I did not get one of those yesterday, but I do know that people put highlights on using those. And I'm a bit sloppy. I'm not the greatest artist. I just like to have fun. So I'm definitely not a perfectionist. I believe the Sharpie over here was easier to color in an area, whereas this one, because it seems to be a little finer, even though they're both 0.38 millimeter, this one you have to color it in a little bit more. Okay. And then I have just a generic Bic pen. It says Bic Ultra round stick. I've had this for years. So we will try that, maybe inside of this little circle here. We'll just create some areas for Zentangle. And maybe I'll fill in this area. Paper's still a hair damp, but that's okay. It's not going to affect anything. And let's just do this pattern. It writes very smoothly. And we'll throw some dots in there. Zentangle can be anything you want, any repetitive pattern. Okay, so this one worked fine too. Now we're going to move on to, I have watercolor pencils. These are just Crayola watercolor pencils. I have some Prismacolor very thin brand, style. They do have another style for blending, which I love to use, but we don't really need to blend on this. And then these are Polycolors, and I forget what these are made out of. I believe the Prismacolors are more of a wax base. I think that probably if you have some oil-based pencils, they would work quite well too. So this one is the, I believe it's pronounced Koh-i-Noor. Oh, I don't know if you're going to see that one. Let's try yellow. And Polycolor. And I'm going to go with orange. We're just going to try filling in an area. And I will pick a design. Let's just do, okay, right off the bat, that's pretty thick. Maybe if you had a gel pen would be better. So I'm going to say on the watercolor paper, I do not like that. Let's try. Oh, this one says Fantasia watercolor, and it says premium. So let's pick a different one. Let's do this one. And let's come out. And it's a little bit finer point. Now it is watercolor, so you could actually go over this with your watercolor brush and thin it out. But it's not really giving me the fine point that I would like. Although it is definitely better than the Polycolor. And then next we will try Prismacolor, which I'm going to have to sharpen. Okay, so now I have the Prismacolor very thin in orange, and I have a nice point on it. And let's pick another area. Let's do this one, how about? And yeah. That does look a lot better. Definitely a finer point. And maybe because it's wax-based, it's going to hold up better on the watercolor. So we're just going to finish filling this in. The other alternative is you can also just do this all black. Most Zentangle is done with just black on watercolors. The particular video I was watching for this style, for this picture, used the gel pens, and I wanted to see, since I don't have colored gel pens, if there was something that would work. And all of these do kind of work, but I think if we go back to one of the pens, I'm going to go back to the Pilot G2. And now I'm just going to fill this in because overall I do not like that it didn't show up very well. Okay, I'm going to finish this off and then I will come back and show you what it looked like afterwards. Okay, so now that I've done a little bit more and it's had a chance to dry, I'm going to say this area was done with the regular ink pen. It was done with this Bic, and it kind of got dull as it dried. So I don't really like the effect of that, this section right here. Everything else, the colors are much more vivid. Now I've decided those rings, the circles we did, I don't really like those. So I'm going to take my pen, squeeze a little bit of water into it, squeeze the tube, and go along the inside. And even though this is dried, I can soften those lines and spread it a little. And I think that looks a little nicer. Now I'll do some of this blue area. And because there's yellow there, it's going to change to green. And experimenting with mixing colors is always fun too. If you take the three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and you mix them, you can get purple, and you can get green, and you can get orange. And then you can mix those colors, and I forget what they're called, not tertiary, but somebody in the comments can tell us what they are. So color mixing is a lot of fun to learn. It's fun with watercolor, but also if you're doing something like oil or acrylics, it's easier to blend and to create and have fun with that. So I'm just softening up all these all these rings, and I'm not even rinsing the brush now. I'm just going over the lines. You can see it's just spreading out that color a little bit. The next lesson, I think we will talk about shading and the main colors that you need. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so this is the finished artwork. You can see I just filled it in with some more Zentangle stuff. If you have a white gel highlighter, chalk, acrylic paint, maybe a paint marker, you could add some little white dots here and there to add some interest and contrast to it. Otherwise, if you have any comments, if you have any tips or tricks or techniques that might help the rest of us out, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Love to hear from you. But please, I ask no personal comments. Keep it art related. All right, thank you.